ToonGrin.
I got nothing to bring to the table on this one, guys. It's weird, it's interesting, kinda. It's the Calamari Wrestler. The movie begins taking place in Japan and shows us two male wrestlers engaged in a match. The wrestler to watch out for in this match is Koji Taguchi, who manages to pull off a reverse inverted full Nelson, which is actually impressive given that it's reversed and inverted, which would imply that it's a normal full Nelson. Anyway, Taguchi manages to get his opponent Hayama to tap out to his reverse inverted full Nelson. Thus, Taguchi wins the match. Taguchi then stands in the ring and is presented with the championship belt. But then from out of nowhere, a new challenger enters the ring. I can't understand why they're so shocked. I mean, I myself am a hardcore wrestling champion. I gotta defend this title 24/7. So I don't see why the big deal about this title being taken away is so freaking everybody out. Oh, they very well could easily be shocked because of the costume design. Now, don't get me wrong, I love this costume design. It's actually just very hilarious to look at. But the thing looks like a mascot for freeze-dried squid snack foods. But personally, I think they could have gone with the Calamari cowboy from Kamen Rider Den-O. Yeah, sure, it kind of looked ridiculous given that it did have a cowboy hat that was part of its squid head. But visually, it still looked a little bit more credible, like the budget was at maybe $2. So the squid snatches away Taguchi's belt, and this mystery fighter, this Calamari wrestler, came for a brawl, and God almighty does he brawl. The Calamari wrestler just starts laying people out, left and right, showing no remorse to battle that champion. Taguchi engages the Calamari wrestler and locks him in his patent reverse inverse full Nelson in hopes of getting him to tap out, but the Calamari wrestler just slips right out of that lock. Taguchi, you fool! You should know full well that locks won't work on a slippery invertebrate. The Calamari wrestler then goes on the offensive with a series of headbutts, then getting Taguchi into an armbar, but Taguchi ain't gonna tap out. Taguchi's a champion, so then the Calamari wrestler decides it's time to put Taguchi down with his signature pin. Taguchi を起こして、さあ今度は脇に入った。なんとイカがノーザンライトスープレックス。悶絶の田口、悪夢だ。こんな悪夢があっていいのだろうか。Since when has it been legal for you to count your own pinfalls? Isn't that the point of a referee? Now onto the headquarters of the Super Japan Pro Wrestling Federation. We see Taguchi sponsors complain about how the Calamari wrestler made the front page and disgraced Taguchi as the champion. The sponsors discuss using this situation as a gimmick to set up a fight between Taguchi and the Calamari wrestler in order for them to double their audience and thus their profits, because people would want to see a fight between a squid and a man. The two, however, realize that if Taguchi, their main athlete, were to lose the match, it would look bad for their federation. So the two decide that they would talk to the Calamari wrestler into throwing the fight. We cut to a pair of reporters whose sole purpose in this movie is just to exposit dialogue. See, the movie actually expects us to need a reason why a Calamari wrestler would even exist. Look, movie, you already got my attention, okay? I saw the cover. The Muppets meet Godzilla. We're done. We're good. My ass is firmly planted here for the, long haul, so just go through with it. I don't even need any depth to this. As far as I'm concerned, a giant squid walking the streets are common occurrence in Japan. But they continue, and the reporters recognize that pinfall from earlier as the signature move as one of the proud rising stars of the Japanese Wrestling Federation named Iwata Kanichi, who suffered from a terminal illness that forced him to retire. Iwata's the Calamari wrestler. Look, okay, you don't bring up a moment like this in a film, this exposition, unless you want it to be brought up as a specific pinpoint. So it's not really a mystery. And on top of that, I just cut out a chunk of the movie for you because they do kind of dedicate a portion to trying to make this a mystery when it really isn't. Also, I wanted to spell one of the other plot lines in this movie because it really doesn't amount to too much. There are some scenes where a man named Godozan, a wrestler in the 50s, is brought up. He's supposed to be like the wrestler, the definitive king of the ring. It's brought up in the climax, but it sort of feels like it's just kind of slapped in there. It's sort of this side thread that could have easily have been dropped. So I'm going to skim over that, as it doesn't really affect the main plot, which is the Calamari wrestler's rise to fame. So Taguchi talks with his sponsors, demanding to battle the Calamari wrestler. We then jump cut to the Calamari wrestler being interviewed with his manager by the pit, can it be? So after the interview is over, we cut to Mayako, the former lover to Iwata, who is reading the article written about the Calamari wrestler. She then gets an unsuspected and rather creepy visit from the Calamari wrestler. You know, this movie had the potential of being a really creepy hentai horror show. Anyway, saddened by Mayako's fear of him, the Calamari wrestler leaves, hinting that he may just be Iwata. You know, it's not a mystery when it's constantly brought up. In the interview where the Calamari wrestler is talking to the press, he states his likes like favorite foods. And then the fact that the next scene is Mayako says that those favorite foods are the same as Iwata's doesn't really give you any mystery. Not to mention the following scene is the bad guys bringing up that the Calamari wrestler may be Iwata.
イカレスラーが岩田だとすると、本来自分が約束されたエースの座に田口がいることが気に食わないのかもしれませんね。
Oops, great mystery. So, the evil wrestling promoters decide that the Calamari wrestler should lose the fight against Taguchi, saying it will somehow invigorate the people of Japan to see a monster lose to a man. I don't know, that sounds like a load of crap, but whatever. The Calamari wrestler's not having that, though. He wants to be loved as a hero by winning the match and refuses to throw the fight. The promoters then say how he will never fight in a Japanese ring due to his refusal, and they decide to go and call him a freak. And really, when you call a giant tentacle monster a freak, how well do you think it's gonna end? So back with Mayuko, who was once Iwata's girlfriend, is now revealed to be Taguchi's girlfriend. Oh, plot convenience. You're stupid. Taguchi has slipped now into a drunken fit because he desires to fight the Calamari wrestler. However, the promoters have banished the Calamari wrestler from the ring. So Taguchi, unable to get his rematch, does the only sensible thing. He breaks down into a drunken stupor. He starts yelling about how Mayuko still loves Iwata, and then he breaks down and performs his own Japanese-style reenactment of the Tameo so-called classic, The Room.
You are tearing me apart, Lisa!
So after the drunk ramblings, we see the Calamari wrestler with his promoter and Coach Senzan, as the two are in a bathhouse together. Coach Senzan states that, ZOMG, the Calamari wrestler is in fact Iwata Kenichi! Okay, so Coach Senzan tells Iwata that he must remain pure, that Iwata was resurrected as a squid, and that he must avoid temptation, otherwise his body will relapse, and he will return to his human body that was terminally ill. So when Iwata was resurrected, he somehow came back as a giant squid. Huh, I really lucked out. I mean, when I was resurrected, I ended up working for one. Squid, don't make me take you down a peg, right? I mean, if we all remember, I am a hardcore champion. Oh, and Miyako also now knows that Iwata is the squid. I'm not sure how, as it's never openly revealed that Iwata is the Calamari wrestler. It was just speculated. That is until Coach Senzan says Iwata is the squid. But that was within the privacy of a bathhouse between the two of them, and for the audience to hear it. So, Miyako being able to somehow know all of a sudden that he is the Calamari wrestler really doesn't make any sense. Maybe that's the power of love. Moving on forward, the Calamari wrestler walks through the marketplace, which is a small area that he frequents throughout the course of the movie. He makes friends with a bunch of the people that work within the area, and they actually form a petition and get it all signed by everyone so that the Federation has to let the Calamari wrestler fight. So, while walking home from the market, the Calamari wrestler is confronted by Miyako, who says she knows that he is Iwata. So now the love is rekindled between Iwata and Mayuko as they do things like performing Japanese Irish jigs while walking home, and being spied on by an enraged, jealous, drunken Taguchi. You know, this scene wouldn't be so awkward if it wasn't for the fact that Mayuko is still technically with Taguchi. She never had a scene where she broke up with him, so now she's just openly swooning over her old lover that came back from the dead as a squid. So we cut to Taguchi training, which, by training, he is basically kicking the butt of every no-name stuntman that has signed on for a paycheck. Taguchi is eventually taken down by the stuntman and gets a visit from Senzan, the Calamari Wrestler's promoter and coach. Senzan then announces that he's left the Calamari Wrestler and he's instead going to be Taguchi's promoter instead. So that night, Iwata's over at Mayuko's house. They celebrate that the petition has gone through and that Iwata will be fighting Taguchi. And I can't really tell if Iwata is supposed to be happy in this scene or not, as the puppeteer controlling the motorized eyes in the costume makes it look as though the Calamari Wrestler is suffering from a seizure. So yeah, everything seems to be going Iwata's way. I mean, the dude came back from the dead from a terminal illness that should have killed him, and now he's got the fight he wanted so he can reclaim his honor. But that's not all he's reclaiming.
もうエッチもうやだもう
Oh my.
Oh my, indeed. The next morning comes and we learn something all new about Mayako. Miyako has the miracle vagina. I mean, think about it. She cured Iwata of his squidness. She cured him from being a monster. Think what else that miracle vag can do. Got yourself a little bit of cancer? Bam, good as new. Got the pedophilia? Bam. Now bang your wife without the desire for little boys.
Miyako's vagina. It will cure what ails you. Warning, no guarantee it will cure you. Chances of contracting a sexually transmitted disease nearly 100% guaranteed.
Now some of you might be wondering how sex with Miyako somehow cured Iwata of his squiddiness. Well, earlier it was said that if Iwata didn't remain pure, that he would revert, and this was the result of it. Because he gave in to his carnal desires, he is now a human. So Iwata returns to the monastery he had been staying at throughout the movie. There he undergoes the 365-point rite to induce his transformation again back into the squid. For if he doesn't return to his squid form, his human form will die due to its terminal illness. Man, Iwata's gotta have the worst curse in history. I mean, think about it. If he remains in his human form and thus lives a normal life, he will die slowly and painfully. And if he stays in his squid form, he has to live a life of abstinence. Really, you could sum up his curse with this.
You mean you have to choose between a life without sex and a gruesome death?
Yes.
Tough call.
So Iwata goes through the ritual, returning to his squid form. The next night, or maybe it's the same night given there's no transition of a new day, at the arena, the match proceeds as Iwata, the Calamari wrestler, enters the ring, waiting for the arrival of his opponent, Koji Taguchi.
I am GB champion, Taguchi Koji 選手の入場です。
This is it, guys. The 10-tentacle titan versus the 8-legged onslaught. This is it. This is why we watch movies like this. Not for romance or depth or any of that crap. We watch it for this kind of insane shit right here. Fuck it. Play me the fight. Now, this fight is about as hilarious as it gets. You got two guys in these ridiculous costumes just slapping each other around and occasionally throwing in a wrestling move. Second time around while watching this, it got me thinking, though. This feels like one of those Japanese animal fight shows. You know which ones I mean, right? The kind where like a pair of beetles will go at it. It's like someone said, let's do a movie based on that, but instead of boring stuff like beetles, we'll go with the age-old question of who would win in a match of an octopus versus a squid. So the fight goes on with the Calamari wrestler finishing up with a flying body slam and pinning the octopus wrestler. Picking up the 3 count, the Calamari wrestler wins his return bout and reclaims his honor. He becomes a rising star sensation, getting all sorts of endorsement deals like ramen, energy drinks, and occasionally some toy lines. He then reunites with the love of his life, Mayuko, and they spend time together in a cafe. And that is the Calamari wrestler. the movie is not over. A new fighter has arrived to challenge the Calamari wrestler for his title. Squilla, the mantis shrimp. Also, you gotta just love how everyone goes about their business like this is the norm. No one questions a giant mantis shrimp with a boxing glove replacing one of its claws, running down the street, pulling the crap out of a giant squid. People treat this like it's the norm. You know, maybe this is like a Tuesday for them. So without missing a beat, the evil wrestling promoters instantly incite Squilla for a federation fight. Why? Because they hate the Calamari wrestler and they kinda want to see him get his ass kicked. And quite frankly, having a mantis shrimp fight a squid will make them even more money. We then move to a bar where Taguchi is getting drunk, and yet he finally realizes the error of his vengeance against Iwata. Convenient enough considering the movie only has a few minutes left to go. And this stunning revelation, that comes within the last few minutes of the picture, brings him to grips to train Iwata for his match against Squilla.
You're the best around. Nothing's gonna ever keep you down. You're the best around. And nothing's gonna ever keep you down. You're the best around. Nothing's gonna ever keep you down.
At the arena, the match gets underway. It's the Calamari wrestler versus Squilla the mantis shrimp. And much like the previous fight with the octopus, it's ridiculously over the top. The fight keeps going, and it doesn't look good for Iwata, as he's getting pummeled by Squilla, and then afterwards he just suffers a nervous breakdown.
Iwata.
Kaiichi-san.
What happened? Contrivance aside, Iwata continues the match. Despite the tides turning against him, that Squilla clearly has him outmatched, he pushes forward, rallied by the cheers of the crowd behind him. He finds the strength within, like every cliche sport movie, to continue the match. Holy crap. Sex, violence, this movie has everything a man could ask for. Now all it needs is a budget. And with a mighty megaton kick off the top rope, Iwata puts down Squilla. The match can finally be put to rest. But then, a shocking reveal. Yeah, it's Godazan, a character who was vaguely introduced, former champion wrestler who mysteriously vanished. It's not enough that Squilla is Godazan. Oh no, there is even more.
Kaiji! Koji! 俺はお前たちの本当の父親だ!
So yeah, to wrap up this, Godazan is Iwata and Taguchi's father, and Iwata and Taguchi are brothers, which I guess they're cool with and somehow never knew. All hug it out in a nice peaceful way, and they are all content with this rather forced revelation that was kind of shoved in at the last minute. And then we crossfade to human Iwata, who should be dying because we were told that if he continues to stay in human form, he would die. But he's with his wife Mayako, and their newborn baby son. That was the Calamari Wrestler. This is a weird movie, but right away I gotta award it my recommendation medal. While not a perfect film, the good really does outweigh the bad. This movie is wacky fun, and if that's the mindset you're going in with it, I find you'll enjoy it. If there's anything negative I can say about the movie is that I think it's played a bit too straight. They really kind of try to push the drama a bit too much instead of just indulging in the insanity of its premise. Other than that, there's also just a bit of too many plot threads I don't really like going on. The reveal of Godazan being Iwata and Taguchi's father comes out of nowhere. It feels feels like it was just slapped in there at the last minute. The whole mystery of who the Calamari wrestler is very poorly handled. And the evil wrestling promoters is dumb. Why do they keep scheming? And if they're going to be the quote-unquote evil wrestling promoters, then shouldn't they have been like the main antagonists of the film? Maybe get their asses kicked in the ring by like the giant mutant monster people at the end? That would have at least had some form of payoff. Still, if you're a fan of tokusatsu or of kaiju, or you just like seeing monsters that are obviously fake in ridiculous costumes, then this is the film for you. I recommend sitting back with some friends and enjoying the 10-tentacle titan that is the Calamari Wrestler. I'm Nero and Jealous, and I deliver the verbal execution. Squid, don't make me take you down a peg, right? I mean, if we all remember, I am a hardcore champion. That was a joke. You know, we gotta shit, man. Come on, man. Coach, just do that. Please don't punch me. Severe. What do you mean, listen? My head. No.